guys, welcome back to my channel. Oh my god, it's been like forever since I posted a video. So this is actually going to be my BBL experience, basically what ended up happening, why I didn't end up getting my BBL, all the stuff that went down. I actually filmed this like probably like a month ago, this along with an apartment tour, but then like a week after filming everything and going back to the footage to edit it and upload it for you guys, I realized that the sound on my camera was completely broken. Like it was so upsetting looking at the footage, going completely through it. I tried, you know, going on different apps to like fix it. Literally nothing could be done. There was just no sound, just all video. So especially for this story time, I was really upset because I think it ended up being like 30 minutes long, and it was literally just 30 minutes of like, so that was upsetting. At that point I kind of just didn't even want to like film it anymore. I was super irritated. I was like whatever, and then I kind of went back to being like super unmotivated with YouTube. But I'm back, I'm feeling better, I want to get back into it. Your girl's gonna make a comeback. So I did want to start with this because this has been like super long awaited. I always just get so many questions of, are you still getting your BBL? What happened with your other BBL? What happened with this surgeon? You know, there's been a couple times that I posted, not necessarily the full story, but kind of like a snippet of what did happen through the reviews I left. And, you know, you guys would ask me details about that. So here it is. Gosh, okay. So I do just want to say, when, you know, I found out that like the sound was completely out, I kind of felt like it was a sign not to post it, like not to even do it, because for a while I did not want to do a story time on this. I didn't really want to share what happened, just because what happened with the surgeon. That same surgeon filed a lawsuit against another girl who had spoken out about her experience on Yelp, and she filed a lawsuit against her for the Yelp review. She didn't win, but still, that just had me like really spooked. I just didn't want to deal with it. And every time I speak on the situation, it makes me super upset. And so I just kind of kept pushing it back. But I feel like now, you know, with like all these other, especially stripper YouTubers, you know, like Yamila and Christina speaking out, I feel like, you know, fuck it. Like, so yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so as you guys know, if you would have watched my BBL consultation video, it's a much older video from last year. I was scheduled to go in for my BBL with Dr. on May 30th. A few weeks after my birthday, a few weeks after my trip to Mexico, yada yada. So that was scheduled, everything was cool. When came, I had actually that night spent the night at my sister's because she was the one who's going to be taking care of my son as well as me after the surgery, and she was only about like 15 minutes from the doctor's office because she lives in West Sacramento. So I spent the night at her house. We got up at probably like, because I was supposed to be at the office at 6:30, so I think I got up at like 5:30. Got up, you know, got ready, did all the pre-op stuff that they told me to, and whatever. So we ended up getting there at probably like 6:15, the Davis office, and we show up and the parking lot's like super empty. Like there's nobody there, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, it is super early. Like I don't even think the office like technically opens, you know, until like a couple hours later. But they wanted me to come in an hour early before like the actual surgery to prep me and stuff. So we show up, nobody's in the parking lot, super dead. I go up to the door because her office is located in like a much bigger building. So to get into her office, you have to get in through the building doors first. So I go to the building doors and I like pull on it and it's not opening, it's locked. So I'm like, okay, like maybe, you know, the head nurse isn't here yet. That's supposed to be like involved in the surgery. So I go back to the car, my sister's still in there, and I'm like, you know, I think they're not here yet. So she's like, okay, like let's wait a few more minutes and then you can call. So we wait a few minutes and I get back out and I go to open the door, it's still locked. So I'm like, okay, like that's weird. So I call the office, you know, to let them know I'm here. No answer. Okay, so I'm like, okay, well I guess we'll just wait around until somebody shows up. So we're sitting in this empty parking lot, you know, nobody's there, nobody's showing up. and I think like 30 minutes goes by. It's about 7, and the nurse calls me, and she's like, oh, like, are you here yet? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here, you know, I'm right outside. I tried opening the doors, but they're locked. And she's like, no, they're not. I'm like, yes, they are, they're locked. And she's like, no, they're not. She's like, come over here right now, they're open. And I'm like, okay. So I go outside, I go to the doors, and I'm pulling on it, and I'm pretty sure she can hear me over the phone, like yanking at it like a crazy person. And she's like, where are you? Just like that, where are you? And I was like, I'm here at the office, I'm right out front, you know, we're parked up front in a silver, the car that my sister's driving, and we're just waiting. And she's like, you're at the location? No, you're supposed to be at the location, get over here right now. And I'm like, hold on, pause, like what? So like I go back in the car, I put her on speaker so that my older sister can hear her, and you know, she's telling me like, no, you were supposed to come to the location, this is where we're doing your surgery, you know, not. And I'm like, hold up, like, you guys never told me that. Like, I'm literally in, I don't even know how far it is. Petaluma's the bay, like, what? So then my sister's on her phone, you know, she goes on Waze and she looks up to see how far it is, and it popped up like 2 hours, you know, close, a little after 2 hours. And so I'm just shaking my head like, oh no, like right away I was like, no, baby. So we're on the phone, and I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know I was supposed to go to the location. Nobody had ever told me, it wasn't in the paperwork, nobody ever mentioned it. Like, it was literally just my pre-op, me paying, like, you guys, you know, calling me to check up on me the day before the surgery, the anesthesiologist, whatever. But nobody ever mentioned anything about, like, I knew you had a location, but I was not aware that, you know, you were going to do the surgery there. So she's like, oh no, you need to get over here right now, how long is it going to take you? And I'm like, well, I don't want to go over there, like, we need to reschedule, because I had this whole, you know, we had this planned out for a couple months. I scheduled it back in March, a couple months, and you know, I had this whole thing planned out in my head, and now I have anxiety because I spent the night in West Sacramento thinking that I was gonna only drive 15 minutes. My sister was gonna drop me off, you know, in 4 hours I was gonna have the surgery done, she was gonna pick me up, and then I was just gonna spend the night at her house for, you know, a few days while she took care of my son. Nothing of, you know, driving 2 hours there and back, like, and mind you, it just didn't make sense after thinking about it to do the 2 hour drive there and back, because by the time my surgery was done, my big sister would already have to come and get me. So she would drop me off, drive 2 hours home, and then my surgery would basically done, and then she would have to come back and get me, and then have another, you know, like, it just didn't make sense to drive a total of 8 hours. And she wasn't going to stay because she has my son, she has her two kids, so what is she going to do, you know, in 4 hours? So it was just a mess. Like, it, you know, I was like, no, this isn't going to work, like, we need to reschedule something. And then obviously I'm going to have to figure out like another situation for, you know, me getting picked up and dropped off. I'm gonna have to have someone else do it, and that was completely fine. But you know, that day it just wasn't gonna work. So I basically let her know, like, I need to reschedule, we need to reschedule, this isn't gonna work. And she's like, well, no, I don't think we could do that. And I was like, okay, well, can you ask Dr. because, like, you know. And she's like, you know, no, like, I'll let her know. And so she's just like, okay. And you know, the whole time we're talking, she's giving me complete attitude, like she's talking to me like I'm stupid, like it was completely my fault, you know, that I didn't know. So after that, you know, we got off the phone, and me and my sister just looking at each other like dumbfounded, because one, like, what the fuck? I did not know. The whole reason I really chose her was because she was the only butt implant surgeon that does them in the northern California area, the Sacramento area. You know, I thought it would be super convenient, since I had moved to Sacramento, for it to be super close to me and then my sister, who was going to be taking care of me. But you know, if I wanted someone in the Bay, like, that just, it wouldn't have made sense. You know, I would have probably got a hotel, I would have asked someone else to help me out. After we got off the phone, me and my sister were just like, okay, you know, whatever, let's just go back to the house, her house. So we go back to her house, and you know, her husband just looking at us like, what happened? And we're explaining what happened, and he's like, what the heck? Like, that is so weird, that's so crazy. Like, you know, don't let them like talk you into it, don't let them be rude to you. Like, you paid for it, it's your surgery, you know, like, you can do what you want to do. Like, if you want to reschedule, but if not, you need to demand like a refund. So like 20 minutes later, after we got back to the house, the doctor calls me and she's like, oh, you know what happened, like, are you still coming, are you on your way, how far are you? And I'm like, no, like, I would really like to reschedule, you know, today's not going to be a good day, I wasn't aware that it was, so, you know, if we could just rearrange something else. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm like, girl, why are you not going to do that? Like, what do you mean? You know, at this point I'm getting kind of like irritated, but I'm like, okay, like, let me just, you know, breathe, relax. Like, it was both of our mistakes, you know, it was on our end, it was both of our mistakes, just for a lack of a complete lack of communication. So I'm like, I would like to reschedule, like, if we could just reschedule, that would be great. And she's like, no, we're not going to reschedule. I have the butt implant sitting right here for you, we're ready to put them in you, we have the anesthesiologist here, we already have the nurses here, I'm here, you know, we already have so and so here. And I'm like, great, but you don't have me there, you know, so and I'm not going to come, so I don't know what to tell you. We need to reschedule, you need to give me a refund. And she's like, you're not getting both. And I'm like, why not, you know? So at this point I'm like, okay, like, what's your refund policy? Because I know for a fact I didn't sign one. So if you can send me a copy of your refund policy, it was in the packet that you sent me either, which I have right here still, that would be great. And this is where it just like went off the edge. So after I asked her I said, can you please send me your refund policy? You know, you can email it to me, anything, get a copy of the refund policy. And she said, I will not do that. You won't, You're not gonna do that? You're telling me I paid $11,000 for you to perform this surgery on me? There was some miscommunication. I'm willing to reschedule. You don't want to reschedule with me. Now you don't want to refund me, but you also don't want to send me the refund policy? Okay, make it make sense. Because at that point I was like, hold on, okay, I definitely don't want to reschedule with you now. I'm definitely gonna need that refund. Like, what are, you know what, let's come to some terms, because you know, you're talking to me a little crazy now. So I mean, the way she said it was just, it was super, super rude. I was just completely caught off guard. You know, she's on speaker, my sister's completely caught off guard, my brother-in-law's completely caught off guard. They're both looking at me like, what did you get yourself into, you know? So I'm like, well, what? Like, why not, you know? And she's like, no, I'm not going to send it to you, you know, like, we do have a refund policy, and after, you know, this day you don't get anything back. It's the day of surgery, you're not going to get anything back. And I'm like, okay, like, I understand if you want to keep the deposit, the $1,000 deposit that I put down the day that I scheduled to hold my appointment, but at this point it's like there was miscommunication. I was willing to reschedule with you, you're not willing to reschedule with me. Like, I would just like my full money back, because, you know, you're not going to perform the surgery, so why do you need that money? What am I paying you for? I'm paying you for nothing, you know? I'm paying you for what? Showing up to your office? Like, you know what I mean? Go home, because it's not happening. Go home, you know, clock out, because you're not going to get paid for this. You know, that's what I'm thinking in the moment. So I'm really upset. Like, I'm keeping my composure. I'm super, super upset. You know, I'm just like, okay, like, you know, just relax, go about this, you know, the right way, Vanessa. So then my sister's like, you know, give me the phone, like, let me talk to her. And they're talking, and my sister's basically like, you know, my sister doesn't want to go through with the surgery anymore. I don't know why at this point, like, you know, you are continuously asking her to come, because she kept telling me, like, you know, you can come right now, you can come right now, you know, even if it takes you, you know, a couple hours, you can still come. Or, you know, if you want to wait a little bit and then come later, like, you can come later, you know, we'll be here all day if you want us to wait for you. And my sister's like, so my sister got on the phone and was like, why are you so desperate? Like, why are you so desperate? Like, if my sister doesn't want to come today and wants to reschedule, let her come another day. But the fact that you're basically begging her to still come to the office is like, but you won't reschedule, is a little ridiculous, you know? And so she starts telling her, because my sister's gotten a rhinoplasty and a breast augmentation and cool sculpting, lipo. My sister's done a lot of things, so she's very familiar with the industry. And she's like, how is it that you even have your whole day opened up just to be waiting on my sister? Like, you know, what kind of surgeon are you? Like, that you're just willing to wait around on a client, but you're not willing to, you know, like, reschedule with her and figure something else out. So she was basically begging me to come. I was like, no, I don't want to come today. Like, this is just a mess, you know, I need to basically collect myself. But she doesn't want to refund me. So my sister's on the phone with her, and my sister's like, you know, you're not even AB certified. Like, you're not even on the AB certification list. You know, she's kind of throwing this stuff in her face. And then at this point, you know, her and my sister are arguing. Dr. is like, well, no, yes, I am AB certified. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, you think because you got like a few surgeries that you know. And my sister's like, well, I do know. And I'm just thinking, no, this is ridiculous. If you're not going to refund me, then so be it. Nonetheless, we're going to go forward with some kind of action, because I didn't pay $11,000 for absolutely nothing. And I mean absolutely nothing, you know. So I'm kind of telling my sister, like, you know, just what, you know, let it be, like, whatever. So basically she's kind of like, okay, you know, we're gonna have to go forward with some kind of action, you know, send us the refund policy, we'll be waiting on that. And that's that. So my sister, you know, is like, you know, we'll be in touch. And then a couple minutes later, Dr. calls us again, didn't answer. So I didn't answer on my phone, so she leaves me a voicemail, and then she calls my sister. Because my sister was the emergency contact on the paperwork. So she calls my sister's cell phone. And so my sister answers, and she's like, okay, so like, are you gonna refund us or what? And you know, at this point she's like, no, I'm not gonna refund you, like, you can come right now. Still, she's still stuck on like us coming right at this moment. And it's like, you really think after all this like little bickering, and along with your nurse being a super, like, just super rude, that I'm still gonna want to come and like be put under a knife by you? Like, you still think I trust you to open my ass and stick something in there? Like, bonkers. Absolutely bonkers, I tell you that. My sister's like, no, like, we're not coming right now. And that's that, you know, like, I don't know what to tell you anymore. And then my brother-in-law, he is like kind of, you know, standing there, and he's listening to everything, and he's like, this, you know, like, give me the phone. And my brother-in-law, he's in his early 40s, he's white, you know, he's a grown man. So he gets on the phone, and he's like, you know, we're not going to come. You need to stop harassing at this point, because we made it very clear that we're not going to come. You're super rude, you're super unprofessional, and you know, I will be in touch with my lawyer. Click. And just like that, as soon as he started to mention an attorney, she clicked. Like, didn't even let him finish the word. Homegirl sounded like Peppa Pig when she found out that Susie Sheep could whistle. She said,
oh, like this? Hello?
So fast. And we're all just sitting there, like, you know, my sister's living room, looking at each other like, she just, like, you're gonna call us and then beg us to come to the office and then hang up, like, as soon as we, you know, threaten litigation? Okay. So, and I mean, I'm giggling now, but like, in the moment, I was so heated, I was so frustrated, I was so irritated. Like, I cried for a little bit, because I was just like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I waited so long to do this. I was so freaking excited. I planned this all out, you know, like, I was ready. But it is what it is. It happened the way it did. Literally right after getting off the phone with her, I called Care Credit, because they're the ones that I financed the surgery with. I called them and I set up a dispute. And then I was going to see what happened with the dispute to then see what to do afterwards. So I filed the dispute literally that morning. This is how much I paid. This is the receipt from Care Credit, a copy of it. My signature, $11,500, and then I did put $1,000 down the day of that I scheduled my surgery, because that was a deposit. I have, like, what? The copy of my card. Technically the surgery was $12,500, but because I put down that $1,000 cash on my first day of making the appointment, it went down $11,500. So that's ultimately what I ended up financing with Care Credit. it's my care credit, and then it's the Visa, which is my debit card, what I paid cash. And then getting to the juicy stuff. I could feel my blood pressure rising. So after I disputed it, it did take June 24th. So it took them almost a month to get back to me. During that time, though, I didn't have to make any payments. During that time, her assistant did end up calling me a few days later to ask me if I wanted to reschedule. I obviously was like, no, I don't want to reschedule. I don't want to deal with you guys ever in my life again. Like, this is from Care Credit. This is what they said. Basically, thank you for your patience while we research your dispute in regard to your Care Credit charge account. We have considered your rights under the terms of the Fair Credit Billing Act. Your claim was acknowledged and presented to Kimberly Henry. A copy of the response is enclosed. We have concluded the research on your account, and as of the date of this letter, we have issued a credits on your account of the disputed amount, totaling $4,260, and billed the amount back to the merchant. If applicable, interest charges and fees associated have also been adjusted. The remaining disputed amount of $7,240 is for the costs incurred by provider due to the cancellation. This account credit means that you will no longer have to pay for, basically saying I don't have to pay for the $4,000, but I still have the $7,000 left. So I was like, really? Like, for real? But this is her response. And the only thing she included in her response was this. The receipt that I just showed you guys of the $11,500, it being a 36-month fixed pay contract that I signed up for, but that's it. She didn't include the refund policy that I also begged for. I asked Care Credit for it. They wouldn't provide me with one, so I have no clue why they decided to still charge me $7,260 when in fact I just was never, you know what I mean, there was absolutely no reason for me not to get a full refund. So her response was, Dear Care Credit, we dispute the chargeback for the following reasons. Patient Vanessa Ramos' date of birth was supposed to arrive at our Green Bay Surgery Center at 6:30 a.m. Thursday, May 30th, 2019. Instead, they showed up at our Davis location. When we told them that we would wait for them, they refused to drive the additional 60 minutes to meet, despite being told that was where the surgery was to occur. The map was also included in their pre-op packet. Our entire surgery team was ready for this case. This included an MD, an anesthesiologist, Dr. Kimberly, 2 RN nurses, a scrub tech, and other ancillary operative room personnel. The operating room was booked for 3 full hours. So there was a lot of contradictory stuff in here. One being that when we did speak on the phone and we were kind of arguing, as you could say, she did mention that, you know, she was only 45 minutes from me in Vacaville, and I was like, what do you mean Vacaville? I don't even live in Vacaville anymore. When I did the pre-op, I lived in Vacaville, but I specifically told her the reason I was going to her was because in May I was moving to Sacramento and I wanted to be close to the surgery center, as I mentioned earlier. So why she kept saying, you know, that I was so close in Vacaville, I'm like, honey, I don't live in Vacaville anymore. And the second thing was, you know, she said that the operating room was booked for 3 full hours. But I was charged for a 4-hour surgery of $3,500. So that was a little confusing. Let me find the other paper because I just lost it. So you can see on the bottom, it says booked for 3 full hours. So I was just like, okay, so did you book her for 3 hours or 4 hours, or was I supposed to be just 6 hours? Because at this point, you know, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. I'm just extremely grateful that it didn't end up happening. Obviously, I blame myself in a way for not doing the complete research that I should have done, but it is what it is. It's definitely a learning lesson. But as you guys saw, I did still owe the $7,000. I did not pay it. I'm still to this day, a year later, still disputing it. I still have it, the packet that she originally gave me. I showed you guys in it almost the whole thing. I kind of went through it in my BBL pre-op. But it's literally just all like maintenance, how to take care of myself after the surgery. So the last 2 pages is the financial policy. It's just the payment options and then cancellation policy. So the cancellation policy, I'll show you guys that. It's not very long, but the payment options, that's just saying that when the full payment's due. And then the cancellation policy says, we understand that a situation may arise that could force you to postpone or cancel your surgery. Please understand that such changes affect not only your surgeon, but other patients as well. Obviously not. Dr. Kimberly Henry's time, as well as that of the operating room staff, is a precious commodity, and we request your courtesy and concern. If you have any questions or need assistance with financial matters, please ask. And that's it for the cancellation policy. The last page, financial policy regarding revision and complications. That's just basically saying that if I'm not happy with the surgery, then they can go back and fix it after a certain amount of months after I've healed, and it's very obvious that, you know, those are my final results. But obviously that doesn't pertain to this specific situation, but I will show you guys that. But no mention of dates, no mention of percentages the way some other surgeons do, no mention of amounts after a certain amount of time that you can't get back. None of that. Literally just all maintenance stuff in this big fat packet, and post-op instructions and pre-op instructions. But that's it. That was my experience with that. I'm going to be way smarter, you know, now. As you guys saw, I did go to Elite to get a consultation from them. You know, I've been doing my research on them. I don't want to jump into anything or anybody super quick. I've done all my fair research on BBLs as a whole, but I just know that now when I go to a surgeon, I'm just gonna do my deep research. But yeah, that was my story time for what happened to my BBL and why I didn't end up getting it.